Dear boomers, we have a new level of division within families after the 2024 election. Can people feel comfortable going to Thanksgiving with their family, especially if the person going to the celebration is a Democrat and the family are MAGAs? Well, many people are refusing to go to Thanksgiving dinner. And there's a new level of division within families because of this election. Um, there's an intense polarization because of women's rights. Women do not feel that their husbands voted for their safety by voting for Trump. And then we have immigration, which is a nightmare. People who voted for Trump, who have an undocumented partner, now suddenly realize that that person will be deported. And so you might call this voter remorse. This is called voter remorse. These political divides have caused painful splits, and many are struggling to connect or reconnect with family members who not only hold opposing views, but they feel the Democrat may feel that the family is directly responsible for voting for someone who is trampling on their rights. Now, is there a path to healing and understanding? And I must say, Thanksgiving's a little bit too soon for this kind of forgiveness to take place. That's my personal opinion. It would be almost impossible for me to hang out at Thanksgiving with people who voted for Trump, who voted for mass deportation, who voted for the against women's rights to have medical interventions when they are in trouble. So why, we know why the election feels so personal, just from what I said. But, women are divorcing husbands who are Republicans at a great rate. Divorce lawyers cannot, usually they say November is a very quiet time for divorce. But this month, people are flocking to the divorce lawyers to get the papers signed as quickly as possible. And, women don't feel safe. They don't feel safe with people who voted against their rights. And this is a true thing, and it's not a pretty picture. So, Trump represents divisive policies, and there's also a feeling of betrayal and frustration among the people who did vote for Trump, like the Muslims in Dearborn, Michigan, suddenly realize that they are a target and they voted for him. Oh my God, I feel so sorry for them. And the Muslim ban will probably come back under a Trump administration, no matter if you voted for him or not. So, how can we find common ground beyond politics? We have to approach, if you feel like going to these people's homes, you have to go in with a feeling of reconciliation, peace, and harmony, and finding common ground. Is that possible? And like I said, it might be too soon after an election. I even read about a gentleman who was a multimillionaire and had distributed his wealth among his 6 children, 5 of whom were Trump supporters. He cut them out of the will, and the one person who voted for Kamala Harris got all of the money. Is it possible to find shared values and family traditions, which are the essence of the holiday season at this time? Gratitude, connectiveness, connection. And if you go into it with this attitude and the person who voted for Trump are rubbing it in your face, feel free to leave as soon as possible. So there are tools to use for difficult conversations. We have to remember one of the most important things is setting boundaries. And you have to encourage people to set these boundaries and to say, we will not discuss the election. You could say that. You could agree to avoid certain topics, especially as you are eating. There's nothing worse than having people start acting out while they're eating a meal that has been carefully prepared by somebody. It really poisons the food. You can use I statements when you're communicating with these people, and teach. It's very important to realize if you use I statements instead of you statements and assigning blame and shame to people, you tell people how you feel. If people are not going to value how you feel, there's a door over there. Goodbye. And you can use active listening, which can be a little bit, people have used it to such an extent that it becomes a cliche. You start repeating what somebody has said and as a way to show them that you're listening. But I'm not sure that works anymore. It might be just good to shut the trap. And you have, like I said, you just might have to leave, go outside, especially go outside. That's the most perfect place for anybody to be. And prioritize your own emotional well-being. Don't be a doormat for anybody. You know why you voted the way you voted. Another thing about people voting for Trump, they thought he would be stopping these wars. Well, he voted in the most hawkish people. He plans to vote in the most hawkish people on the planet. So they feel betrayed too. But it might be good to never talk about politics at all with these people ever again, and talk about the memories you have with them, and try to foster a feeling of goodwill in your heart. And another thing is you could go to a place that serves the homeless food and do some volunteer activities together. That might be a good thing to do to help people less fortunate, but I don't think Trump people are very interested in that. But that's a judgment, and I think it's possible I think it's a good idea, but and you would be participating in a charitable activity that reinforces shared values and redirects energy towards helping others. And when you help others, you are in the moment, and that is very important. And then, like I said, reminiscing about the past, about the good times that you've had before on the holidays. And you can create new memories and can remind everyone of the love and connection that they share. But some families have huge political differences that reflect deeper values and may lead to long-term or permanent shifts in relationships. And this is the way it is. They may choose not to go to these holiday gatherings. And in fact, as I may have said before, Jesse Walters, who took Carlson's place on Fox News, his mother said, don't come to Thanksgiving. You can come to Black Friday. But there are personal boundaries that we need to exercise in terms of self-love and self-care. People's political choices often stem from their own life experiences, fears, and aspirations. So empathy is the best way to go forward here. Have empathy for yourself, really. And when it's difficult, considering that every person has a story that shapes their views, there's stories to be told, and empathy doesn't mean agreeing with anybody, but it does mean trying to understand their perspective. There is a common humanity that can be reached in these situations. And forgiveness. It might be too soon to forgive, as always basically, it's important to forgive because you don't know whether you'll ever see these people again. Something could happen to them. They could die. And then you will wish that you had practiced the art of forgiveness. You will have wished that you did. Even if you forgive them, it may not be possible to reconcile differences. Forgive the people for their perceived betrayals, not for their sake, but for the peace it brings to you. Peace of mind is lacking in this whole situation. And how to let go of resentment and move forward with an open heart. This is so important. So I think we have to create a legacy of love over division, because if your mother or father, whom you previously loved, voted for Trump, we all need to rise above these differences. And despite all challenges, choosing love and connection over division can create a legacy of resilience and unity for future generations. We have to think about our future generations in all of this. What kind of model of behavior do we want to be? Commit to healing and understanding and respecting family bonds, even in challenging times. So it's important to know, I was especially taken by the Dearborn, Michigan Muslims, that they voted for Trump as just because, not just because, but because of the war in Gaza. And it has turned out to be a bad choice. Please realize this. There's going to be a video that shows up here, and subscribe to this station here, the YouTube channel, and press the little bell that tells you when we come online again. Peace on earth.